Good morning. This is Susan, and this is Susan's Ramblings. Today I'm going to talk to you about muscular dystrophy. I have a grandson who is 10 years old now, who was diagnosed with MD, as we call it, when he was small. He was 2, maybe 3 years old. I'm going to say, I think, 2 years old. The official definition of muscular dystrophy is a group of genetic diseases that cause progressive weakness and loss of muscle mass. The treatment can help, but it can't be cured. This child, we noticed it first because Cooper had a tendency to what we call waddle, like a duck. He couldn't walk like a normal child, and that brought his attention to him, my attention to it, faster than probably a normal person. He also had many other symptoms, and he was diagnosed, but he was waddling before he was diagnosed. He couldn't run, he couldn't jump, he couldn't walk in a normal manner. And one of the things that I was always upset about was the fact that when he would fall directly on his face. And that gives you bruises and scrapes, and it is quite dangerous if you can't protect your head. And his muscles in his shoulders would not allow him to put his arms forward like a normal child to stop his fall. And so he would just plain fall flat on his face. Another thing was, we found out with his MD was he couldn't go up any gentle inclines. I mean, a very gentle incline. An incline that a normal person, a normal child, probably wouldn't even notice. Another thing that would make Cooper fall would be if his foot caught a stone, a small stone. I'm not talking a rock, I'm talking a small stone. And he couldn't lift his leg over that stone, so he would bump the stone, and of course then he would fall, and with his arms not protecting him, he would fall flat on his face. And I had trouble understanding why in the world his arms wouldn't protect him. Another thing I had trouble understanding was the fact that he couldn't lift his legs. He couldn't go up the steps like a normal child. In our family, my daughter has a house that has a playroom in the basement. It also has ones on the main floor, but it also has one in the basement. And every time Cooper would come over to visit, the other children were running up and down these stairs to play, or, like normal children. They'd get downstairs and they'd remember there's something they wanted to do upstairs, so upstairs they'd come, and then they get upstairs and back down they go, and so forth. Cooper couldn't do that. Somebody had to be there all the time to take Cooper back and forth, because he couldn't climb those stairs, or he couldn't even get down the stairs without falling. So that was a big adjustment for us to make. Another adjustment for us to make was the fact that since he didn't have the muscle mass that most children have, his body ran out of energy. He needed more calories, more energy than a normal child. Yes, a child can be hungry and he can say he's hungry. But with Cooper, he would come home at times crying until we realized, and until the teachers realized exactly what was happening. And then Cooper would be given a snack, a glass of chocolate milk, or graham cracker, or peanut butter and jelly, peanut butter and celery, something like that, just to get more calories into his body so that his muscles would be able to work, so he would have the energy in order to work. At the beginning of school, when he first started school, he would come home and he would just be absolutely exhausted simply because his body needed that extra energy and nobody realized it. Another symptom he had, and another thing that took me a while to understand, is now he is in a wheelchair full time. I was upset when that happened. But like they said to me, well, Grandma, he's happy with it. He can go places now with less difficulty. And it's better for him rather than trying to make his muscles do what they didn't want to do in the first place. Okay? So that was a big adjustment to me. Another thing we're running up against is now that he's 10 years old, he doesn't have a problem in school. His problem is he does his assignments, but then he can't tear out the pages in his notebook to turn them in. He hasn't got the muscles in his arms to tear out those pages out of his notebook. He doesn't have the muscles to raise his hand to help, ask for help. He just doesn't have the muscles there to do it. And yeah, it can be upsetting to him, frustrating to the rest of us. But it's something that we are going to have to learn to live with. Another thing is his life expectancy when he was diagnosed was in his teens. That's simply because not only does muscular dystrophy affect your external muscles, such as in your arms or your legs, but it also affects the internal muscles, those that operate your heart and that your heart needs to keep beating. If a child with just muscular dystrophy gets a cold, just a simple cold, it can very easily turn to pneumonia because his muscles in his lungs will not expel the phlegm and so forth that comes with a cold. Another problem could be his muscles in his stomach will not expel the food that is in it. And so, even though the intestines are not blocked, we will become blocked. I don't know any other word to say it. He will become constipated, not because he's just simply because his muscles won't work. That is another thing. So we're looking at, now that they've got all kinds of treatment, and they haven't recently improved that treatment, his life expectancy will come to could go up to 30 years of age. Of course, there are always those that live even longer than that, so we've got our prayers for that one. But another thing we're facing is the fact that since his external muscles are beginning to I don't know what you say, he's getting headaches because of his internal muscles are failing. And it will be migraine headaches with all of the symptoms that a migraine in an adult will have. And that is another problem we're coming up with. Like I said, treatment can help, but it can't be cured. Cooper has been undergoing physical therapy ever since, as long as I can remember, probably ever since he's been diagnosed. And that can help, but it can't cure anything. I did the muscular dystrophy, even though I'm halting and I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to say here, because it is something that is important to my family. If you see a disabled child, that child wants to be like everybody else. He doesn't want to be disabled. He wants to be able to run and jump and play like others, but he's unable to. And the younger children seem to understand this. In fact, his classmates understand this. That's the way Cooper has always been. They understand that he's ill. They have had special programs, especially when he was younger, and when he first started the school system, that explained all of this to them in words that they could understand. So they are used to Cooper being disabled. But it's his parents that are causing the problem. Cooper is just as smart as any other child there, except his muscles don't work, period. So he can't jump up like your child. He can't move easily, if he's even able to move from a chair to a wheelchair, or from a desk to a wheelchair. Most of the time, the youngsters, the children, that's Cooper. Anybody who's grown up around Cooper, any child, that's what they say, basically. That's just Cooper. He can't do it, but he's fine. He's good. He's a good friend. He's smart. Those are what the children are saying. And the parents are saying, oh my gosh, look at that poor kid. Ba 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 ba. I don't know if I want him in my child classroom or not. Ba 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 ba. It's the children that are fine. It's the parents who may cause you difficulties. So parents, listen to your children. Your children know more of what's going on with a disabled child than you do. So listen to your child. Sorry if this gets to be preaching. It is something that is very dear to my heart. And I hate to see and I hate to hear the remarks that some of the parents and some of those that are not familiar, or even those that are familiar with the disease or with a disabled child, will come up with. Cooper is lights up his room, the room, with his smile. Very smart child. And we are blessed to have him in our life. Thank you. God bless you. Have a great day.